Hola, people. Welcome to Tarot and the Deviants. Tonight's actually a fun night. Tonight we have the wonderful Melissa, the Dreadful Mystic. We have also a special guest tonight. We have Rachel, international psychic,
Hello, darlings.
aka the Spirit Witch. We'll put all her information in the description of the video, so be sure to check her out. Tonight we are discussing past lives. We're discussing past lives in regards to, like, tarot cards, oracle cards, other cards. If any of you have any questions concerning the tarot, oracle, as it pertains to past lives, past life readings, all that, wonderful stuff, go ahead, and I always point over here, but I don't know where it shows up on your screen. But wherever it does, go ahead and ask the question, and we'll do our best to provide answers. So, okay, let's talk about past lives. The first thing I think that I want to express is what we were just talking about, is the importance of when you go to get a past life reading, whether it be with cards or past life regression, know what you want. Know if you really want to open that door, because it can be crazy. It can be very, it can be traumatic. Rachel, you were just talking about, trusting, the person.
Yeah, I went to one that was, it was recommended by a friend, so you think, oh, they must be good. And they did the past life regression. They took me down. I was used to meditation because I do trance work as well. And my past life, the one that they went into, was extremely traumatic. My whole family died in a fire. I was on my own for a long, long time. And then it was the same life as what I was living 10 years ago. It was repeating itself. So I must not have learned the lesson. Anyway, because I was freaking out and crying in this, while in the altered state, he brought me out of it really, really quickly, which you don't do. You have to come up the different levels. You can't just go from like deep meditative state to wide awake again. You can't do that. You have to come up the levels. But he brought me out straight away, which caused me to have anxiety attacks, still think that I was in that time period. Not like on a crazy level, but it was like I'd have flashbacks. I couldn't meditate anymore because I was scared of going back down that far to see that life again. So you have to know what you're getting into when you're doing these types of things, because anything can happen. And like I just said to Michael and Melissa, it's not all rosy, it's not all great. Some past lives are extremely traumatic.
Right. That, and when you were expressing that, before we got on, that totally, like, it flared something up in me, and it reminded me of when I was doing psychic training. When you're around a group of people training to be psychics and training in that phase, you connect and you start becoming vulnerable to each other, and you start learning new things, and it is very intense. But when you don't have the teacher who is actually properly prepared to handle a group of people, a group of students, it's dangerous and it's damaging, because when we were doing past life readings, something came up in a past life for me, and I've always been stubborn, so I've always been aware, like, I will handle what I have to handle, even if it's harmful to me or traumatic to me. I will deal with it on my own. I don't need other people to help me. That's just always been like that, and that's not always a good thing. But at that time, there were certain things that came up in a past life, certain things when I was like a child that happened to me, that I experienced during that time. It was not positive. It was not a positive experience. There were emotions that you bring back, because you're kind of, even though you're being regressed, like, you're channeling that. Your body is channeling that. Your spirit is going through those experiences, and so you're remembering all that stuff. and you're bringing that back to like the physical, the present moment. So again, like you said, like if you don't have the right people around you to actually help you through that, it's scary and it's damaging, and you can be fucked up for quite a while afterwards. And depending on the person, depending on the strength, not just the strength, but the will of the person, um, and the support that they have around them, they might not even come back from certain things because of the traumatic experiences that one can learn about their past lives. And, not everyone's going to be angelic. Not everyone's going to have this positive experience. That's not reality. The reality is, like, you look around, you have murderers, you have people who rape, and you have people who have been raped, you have people who have, experienced so many different things on one end or the other. And if you believe in past lives and you know that you keep coming back, there are going to be lives where you have done horrible things and you have experienced horrible things. So
Right.
you have to be ready, and that's not just for regression. That's like when you're, if you're laying down the cards and you're looking at past lives, like you have to be ready to experience that. You have to be open for the possibility that what comes through is not going to be positive, and you have to have the emotional support, and you have to know when to say, okay, I'm not equipped to do this, I can't do this right now. But like you said, you have to also come out of it in stages, because if you don't, it's very like that's not okay either. Ugh.
Right. And and a lot of people I don't think realize at least why we have past lives. I think everyone has sort of a different view on that, but the most common and the one that I personally believe is the truest is that we come back to have different experiences every time. And if you're going to have experience the whole range of lives and how those lives will be, you're going to have quite a few that are going to be crappy. I mean, they're going to have some huge challenges. So that's definitely something to, like you said, it's something to keep in mind, because, I mean, that's the way life is. And if you're going to experience every range and have a better understanding of everything, of every kind of life, of every possible path, then you're going to have some that are pretty traumatic.
Right.
It could also conflict with your life right now, because I know that it did with me, because I'm like, wait, this is the same life what I have present than it was with this past life, where I never married, I never had children, and then I'm like, wait, I need to change this. So then when the opportunity arose, I'm like, I just darted for it. Yeah, it might have been a good thing, but then again, it might not be. You don't know. Is that the lesson I was supposed to learn, or was there something else I was supposed to learn?
Right.
That's powerful, because that makes you that puts in where you could have went one way, but because of this experience, you just like boom, you darted, you like sprinted across, and like, hey girl, where you going? Like, damn.
Definitely.
And that shows like if you that shows why it's so important to be aware, be alert, be cautious, and use proper discernment when doing anything like this, because again, you might always wonder, if I chose to not do that because of that experience, where would I be? Not that you're not grateful for where you are now, but maybe you were actually meant to be on a different path, but because of this experience, it like altered everything, and you just went bam. Not saying that you're not supposed to be where you are, but it could have turned out way different, and you might be embodying a different life that was necessary for you at that time. It's just there's so many different things that you have to factor in, and it's kind of cool and overwhelming to contemplate. But I was going to say as well is like why past lives can be so overwhelming and intense is because, and this is how I believe, this is kind of how I was taught, time is not linear. And when we say past lives, it's to help us understand, like, it's not necessarily like this current moment per se, but all lives that we have lived or we are going to live are happening now. So all we have to do is shift our awareness, shift our mindset, and put ourselves in those time frames, and we become that experience. So we live that again. So that becomes the present moment. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's
Definitely making sense.
okay. Hopefully, I'm like, huh? But it's like it overwhelms because all of those things are happening now.
Right. And to me, the best way to deal with that is just to make sure you compartmentalize and understand that even though that is happening at that moment, that to a you that's not you right now, that it can give you insight into why you are in certain ways you are, but realize it has zero to do with you now. You can't, like, confuse the two. You know what I mean? You can't meld the two together. You have to make sure that you are very aware that that is that and this is now. And to me, that's one of the hardest things to do unless you have that mindset. And honestly, like, the first time I experienced a past life was through dreams. And sort of work in Talia's question as far as your favorite method for past life recall. I don't know about a favorite, but that's the one that happens to me the most. It was very surreal because I was there, but I was here. It's like I was experiencing the dream as me. It was definitely me, but I was also outside watching me. And I guess I shouldn't say physically, but consciously aware of the fact that I was both, both point of views at the same time, if that makes any sense. I knew that was me, and I knew that I was watching, and I recognized myself. So it was extremely intense and trippy. So it just sort of threw me for a loop. It was very hard to decide which way was which, who I was at the time. Was that really me? Is this me? It was extremely confusing. But this next time it happened, I was better prepared.
It's very interesting you saying that, because it's a good job that you determined that, because a lot of people can become very egotistical once they find out their past lifeline. I know Michael were talking about that a second ago. I'll let you go ahead, Michael.
What? Me?
It does. It's like they put themselves on this pedestal, and they think it's them now, and it's not really them now. It's their past life. It's nothing to do with it right now.
That's like so important, and that's kind of, before we start talking about cars and all that, but it's so important again for people to comprehend that past life, future life does not mean better life. It does not, and just because you might be better off in the past life or a future life or whatever, that doesn't mean it's better for you right now. The life that you're living right now is this one, in this body, in this physical experience. So some people they veer off and they're like, ooh, I was a queen over here, whatever, and I was some ancient royal freaking alien with 2 heads and like a big old. We won't talk about that either. But that's why this.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
But no, like, it's awesome to understand that these past lives they may have some influence of this present moment, but don't forget that you have to pay bills. You have to take care of your kids. You have to function here. So if you are thinking you're some big, amazing person from the past life and everyone should bow down to you because in the past life you were like royalty, no, that's not how it is. You learn from those experiences. You learn from that, and you try and bring, the positive and the lessons, from those experiences here to benefit from them and to make this life the best life you have so far. But no, if you start getting caught up in those lives, you neglect this life, you neglect yourself, and that's not a good thing. That's not what we're about. That's not what this experience is about. You want to make the most of it. You want to enjoy it. You want to do whatever you can to just make it easier and have more fun and have adventures. So if there were experiences in the past lives that you need to kind of function during this life, where you have to learn certain lessons, maybe not to be such a jackass, or maybe not to sleep with your best friends, yada yada yada, all the time. Certain lessons, but you have to honor those experiences, honor those lessons, and apply them to the now moments.
Right, exactly. To me, that's the most important thing. At least that's the only thing I really get out that I focus on my past lives from my experience, is to gain knowledge of what I've been through before, not just to not make those same mistakes again, but to experience this life with a little bit more preparedness, I guess you could say. To pull aspects of my past lives into this life, to make it I don't know, not as difficult maybe, or not as challenging. Like I was telling Michael before, I have been a monk in a past life. I was a man, and it was a very different experience from my other past lives. And I can tell that it reflects in this life, as far as not the patience part, but as far as like being able to meditate better, finding inner peace. Meditation has always come to me just like that. I've never had issues with it, and I know that that is an effect of having that experience in that certain lifetime.
Yeah, you can also work through, like, say you smoke and you want to stop smoking, you can look into the past life and see what caused that. Same as like losing weight, for example. I have a friend that she was obsessed with like starches. Are you laughing at me, Michael?
No, no.
She was obsessed with starches, and it found out in a past life she was involved in like the potato famine in Ireland. So she was obsessed with these starches, and they said it went back to that past life. So you can just get over things.
That's kind of funny, but
I know, but they say, do you know, like hypnosis? They say you can do it through that as well, but it'd be good to just look back into your past life and see whether you picked up something along the way.
That's so fascinating too, because it's so true. Like if you think about it, like anything that we have challenges now, like anything that's become a pattern for us in this life, we can look and see if there's any, pattern from previous lives, find that origin, finding the source, and learn from it and see if you can kind of alter that belief set, like alter the pattern, bring a new one, change it. And so that kind of we can transition from the potato famine to cards. So,
oh my goodness.
I don't know why that just. Well, when I think potatoes now, I think like vodka. Like I think alcohol.
You would.
I'm like, well, I'm trying to do dry January, and I'll only drink on my birthday. So, and maybe like on other people's birthdays this month. So.
Should we pretend it's mine now?
Yeah, like if it's your birthday in January, let me know, because I'll celebrate with you. I know.
Yeah, it's my birthday today. Drink.
You're right.
I have it right here. No, but okay. So an interesting thing is like when you're reading for, I don't know how y'all do it. There's so many different ways that you can read when you're reading for past lives. One particular way, a fun way, is I don't really utilize significator cards. They've always felt off to me, but if you like shuffle your deck, like shuffle the deck and focus on the past life of your client, okay? So you shuffle the deck, shuffle, 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 and ask for, the type of person that this client was. Like, okay, shuffle that deck, shuffle your cards, and you're focusing on, tell me the type of person, like the actual person my client was. Like, was he male, female? Was he tall? Was he short? Like, I need to know. Like, tell me the type of person. And then as you're shuffling your deck, you know, I always, like, when I shuffle, I pay attention to everything. I pay attention to how it feels. I pay attention to the visions that I get. I pay attention lately to what I I might hear. I pay attention to how I feel. And let me tell you, hearing shit is not fun. It is not fun at all. Ew.
Especially when they're shouting in your ear when you're just about to go to sleep. It's like, really? You've had all day.
No, it's true. And the funny thing is like, I've been doing this for a while, so it's not like you have to take that moment to get through. You can get through all day long. You're waiting for that time? No. So you shuffle your deck, you do that, and then you pick a card, and that main card is what your client was, or it expresses the client as a person. And this is a perfect example. The card that I picked from the Deviant Moon, and it's the Eight of Pentacles. And okay, so let's say this card came up, and right now, what I feel from this card is actually very masculine, very male. So I would say, okay, in a past life, what I'm getting right now is you were a very hard worker. You're a man. You were kind of tall, but you didn't appear tall because you were such hard working that you bent over a lot, that your back had issues, like it kind of curved, and so you were a slave to your own mastery. Like, you loved the work that you did. A lot of people, noticed the work that you did. You were, like, intense at it, and it took its toll on your body, but that's who you were. You were a very hardworking man, and so, stuff like that. If you kind of, what the hell just happened? That is weird. That was weird, sorry. But yeah, like, it's super fun, and just have fun with it. So you pick a card, and you focus on the person that your client was in a past life. And when I do this, I like to make sure that when I'm doing the question, I focus on a past life that they currently need to understand to benefit, them through whatever they're going through in their life right now.
I think what's interesting about that card that you've got at the moment is the fire, because it reminds me of a blacksmith or a steel worker.
I was thinking the same thing, blacksmith. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the coins going in. You could be a money maker, your own business.
Take that money maker.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, see, and exactly, like, depending on, and this is why it's super good. I don't know why that totally just, anyways, this is why it's super good to, like, watch the History Channel, watch the Learning Channel, read books and read other stuff, because the more you experience, different things, the more you have to express yourself, the bigger your vocabulary is, the bigger, your knowledge. So when things like this come through, it's like, oh, this reminds me of this one time I saw this thing, and then boom, you express that. So yeah, definitely could be like a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
And well, blacksmiths were very important too. I mean, they were considered, because you talked about how they, someone who's important and gives into the work, and their work is their life. And with a blacksmith, that was their life. I mean, they were the heart of the town. Not only that, but in a lot of instances, people were like blacksmiths to witches. As far as having a connection there.
Yes, there is. Yes.
I think what we also have to get across is each card, yes, Michael may have pulled that now, and we may get the feeling that the person was a blacksmith, but then you may pull it again, say tomorrow, for somebody else, and it may not mean that particular thing again. It can mean something else as you look at the card. Something else might stand out to you. So do pay attention to that. Don't just say, well, this card is for this and this card. Use your intuitive side to see what it is. Don't just use memory. Use your intuitive side.
Right.
Yeah, because if you just rely on like memory, that you're a suck ass reader. Like,
You may as well just write on them what this card means and just say, well, read that.
You put a sword in your mouth. Bad. Shit came tumbling down. Shit. No, you can't. And that's why we ask specific questions and we program the cards. Like when we're asking a question, we program the reading. So that was the individual. And then you could like shuffle a deck and let's do that. Let's shuffle our cards and let's focus on how this blacksmith, let's say, what should we ask? Like about his life.
Whether he had a family.
Oh, we have a family, and we'll show you. Like we all have, I think we all have different cards. If we're using Genie, I don't know, but we all have cards, and we'll pull different cards most likely, and we'll show you how to express those. Okay. Oh really? Hey really?
Oh really?
Oh really?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I should have had a little cup of tea. I should have made.
Hey, right? I
Yeah.
almost made some tea actually before I started.
I totally forgot.
Okay, so who wants to go first? What cards?
I'll go. I've got the Sweet Twilight cards, and I've got the Hanged Man.
Oh my god, that's funny.
So, let me just take a look. So this one to me tells me he wouldn't have necessarily gone into a relationship early on in life because we're working on the relationship side of things. He would have waited around. There's books in the background, so it tells me that he may have gone to school. He may have been through his life into his career, into learning. And it's a little twisted as well, so maybe he was a little twisted in personality, and that's why he kept the women away. Oh, and then he's got some scissors on his chest. So this tells me that maybe he cut his heartstrings, so he's not necessarily interested in love.
Ooh, I like
Got hurt before. So he wasn't actively looking for a relationship. So he was just cut off from the world. He's shirtless. So maybe he
likes his pet.
Yeah, or you could go down the lines of maybe he was not as wealthy as he wanted to be. Because wealth played a lot if you go way back into the past.
Right.
So maybe he wasn't as wealthy. But then there are butterflies in this card too. So it tells me that later on in his life, he did bloom and he did turn into that butterfly and go out and get what he wanted. And that's what I get from the Hangman. Well, this card anyway.
Interesting.
That is. It's awesome, though.
Well, what did you get, Melissa?
I got the Eight of Cups. And to me, that says that he was very focused on his work, focused so much that yes, he may have had an interest, he may have had this woman at one point, but because he was so focused on his work, because he was so involved, she was like, no, you don't spend any time paying attention to me.
Like
nothing. So I'm walking away and leaving this. Yes, I have this nice dress. I have all this awesome stuff, but that doesn't fill that void of you not actually paying attention to me at all.
Right.
You're so involved in your love life, in your work, and not focused on your love life that I just have to walk away.
in that card, like it totally reminds me of like the perfect match for this person would have been like a gold digger, even though he didn't have much money, but he had stuff he could provide. And she was like, I want someone to love me. Like she's like, no, she had the stuff. Like she had a lot of full cups, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah, but she was like, "No, it's not what I wanted." Yeah, so that's interesting. So the cards are totally like linking up too because they're like, "No, he might have had something," but they're like, he was too involved in his work. And the why I laughed earlier was because the card that came up
The hangman.
was the Hangman, which again is a major card, major player, big energy. And to me, this says, okay, first of all, if the person, no, I really do feel like this person had family, but they sacrificed their family, their relationships for self-mastery. They sacrificed the love, and they sacrificed the being with their children, being with, their family for their work. And it got to be a problem because they thought they were working their ass off to provide for their family, but in reality, they were so ego-driven. They loved the praise that they got. He loved the attention that he just forgot. He forgot his child, like his children. He forgot his family. He decided to pursue his career at all costs.
Mm-hmm. And with the watch hanging from his heel, it's like he always thought he had time. Like, yeah. I'll make it up to him later. I have time. But he was sacrificing time the whole time.
You can see, like, the trees in the background in this card. There's no leaves on them, so it's cold. It's, like, wintry. It's freezing. Like, he's doing things that are very hard, very rigid, and he can't bring other people with him because only he would actually put himself in this position. Only he would do what it takes to be recognized for the work that he does and shun his life responsibilities.
Right.
So and I just drew another, which is the Four of Wands. And you see, he's sat with his love interest, but he's not there. He's totally oblivious to her love. In the back, there's a almost like a tornado going off, a storm coming. Then the castle's got a hole in it, so it means that your foundations aren't strong.
Well, yeah.
You've got a hole in the foundation. That it's pointless because, like you said, you have to have the three pillars for a relationship to work, which is the finance, the love, and what's the other one? I can't remember right now, but one of the pillars is broken, so that comes all crashing down.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, anyways.
You have the pillar of finance, love, and whatever the other work or something. Quite sure. But yeah, there's a hole in the castle, so it's just going to come tumbling down eventually.
Well, and if you look at that card, you have two wands that are laid down in front of them, and they're not really going anywhere. The two wands behind them are budding, so there's growth, but not in sight. There's growth that was in the past. There's something that might have developed, and that's why they're where they are now, but it's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if a client came in and they wanted to pass life reading, and we did this so far, this tells us that they might, like, if they want to work on love and relationship stuff, like, they really need to address the need, like, they need to express how they feel to their loved ones more importantly. And I actually would suggest for my client in this situation to read the 5 love languages, because it teaches you, it's a really awesome book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It teaches you how to learn and understand the love language of the people around you, like if they like quality time better. So if you spend more quality time with them, they're going to feel loved and appreciated. Or maybe if it's just like buying them something, they like that, and they interpret it like really intensely, like that's their love language. Or, just words, like just expressing how you feel, that might be their love language. So this would be a perfect energy, perfect way to express, like, you need to if you want to make your relationships work in this life, you need to learn how to express how you feel to the people you care about. And
Yeah, you need to put a little bit more effort into it, not focus on one thing. You need to multitask a little bit.
right. And you need to make sure that you're doing it. My sister just messaged me. I don't know why. She just said email, please. I'm like, I don't know what the... Anyways, the girl's crazy. But you need to be more present with the people and make sure that they understand how you feel and in a way they can comprehend. Because I might tell someone that I love them, but they're like, whatever, that's cool. If they don't hear it correctly, maybe you just need to go up and hug them if they want that. Like if they're the way they interpret it is like physical touch, like you hug them and you express that, they understand that more importantly, like that stands out to them, so that expresses like you actually care. But yeah, that's kind of so far like what we would get from that. That's pretty cool though, because you can see how you're taking a past life reading and you're actually applying it to the present moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't really have to focus on who you were, what you were, just on your emotions or on your life in general, what paths you took. That's more important than finding out if you're a king or a queen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because if you were like, let's say you were a king or a queen or king, whatever, you're a royalty, or maybe like a princess or a prince, and in this life you're a freaking bitch. You're just a bitch. Like, you didn't get any regal, like, you got nothing else out of that past life. You were a bitch. Learn from that. You got to calm down. Calm it down. Yep. So, someone, I think Tala said she got the Three of Cups reversed. Like, so let's say, did he have a family, Three of Cups reversed? I don't know if she meant that for past life reading or whatever. I'm talking so fast, sorry. But Three of Cups reversed would, to me, would be like, no, he dumped that shit out.
Yeah.
Abandonment.
He lost all that love. It all tipped away.
Yeah, and she said she also got the Seven of Wands. So that as well, it's sort of like he was running around confused, not really sure where he was supposed to focus his attention, like he was trying to do right, but since he was so obsessed with focusing on work, his running around trying to get his shit together caused the cups to be dumped.
Yeah.
And it's like he's trapped in that environment. He
right,
can't see.
cycle.
Yeah, he can't see his way out of it. So it's going to carry on going down that life path, down those generations and those new lives, because he can't get something to cut it down. That's why you need a sword. That's why you need a sword card to come in.
Absolutely, and that leads into a whole other thing. But yeah, you can see, and the way that this card is, like the card's going back. At least in the Deviant Moon, the card is going back to the past. It's moving towards the left of the card, and that to me is like they are not ready to handle the future. They're like stuck in the past. So again, if you said, like you said, swords card, you could find a swords card, maybe like the Ace of Swords, to come in if you want to kind of help your client work through these things, and if you want to do like crafting at the same time, you could take the Ace of Swords and utilize it to cut, this experience, to cut the shit down and open a way for a new path.
Definitely.
Or this card's the one that pops in my mind, even though it's not a swords card.
Yes, so...
Eight of Wands, she's just totally knocking that shit out.
What was I going to say? Let's shuffle. We have to clear some of these things out. Let's shuffle. So he most likely had a family and sacrificed his family for his own personal needs. So let's say, let's just, how did he die? Like, how did he die? Let's look for the death in this this past life reading. Which, and when you're doing, I think that when you're doing past life readings and you delve into that, the death, like the death experience is very important because that actually has a lot of information on how you might interact with your current life.
But what people also have to know is just because you died a certain way in your past life doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die the same way. Even if you're repeating the same life. So don't start freaking yourself out like, oh, in my past life I got hit by a car and died. Oh my gosh. And then you avoid all cars because it's just to the extreme.
You might get hit by a
it'll
train
be something else.
this time. Bicyclist. Ow! That's horrible. Yeah. But it's true, how did this black man die? Kind of morbid. How did this fool die?
Shuffle. A little bit more. There we go.
I don't even know. Oh my. Yeah. Okay. Y'all, you got your cards? Because I don't know about this card. I need some time to think about this one.
Alrighty then, I've got Ace of Wands. So as you can see, there's a big piece of fruit there. So it tells me that he was greedy. And he probably died with a lot of his hard work around him. Probably all the money he's earned. He probably didn't even spend it. He was probably a penny pincher. And it shows him sat at the top of the tree away from his money. So it could have been that he either hid it somewhere away from everybody else so that they couldn't get their hands on it and he just turned into this paranoid, like I said, penny pincher, or it got stolen away from him because he cannot get to that. It's too heavy for him. See, the branch is already bent and the fruit's on the floor, so it's moved away from him. It's too heavy, it's too much for him. So it probably overpowered him in the end, and he probably just died from, I don't want to say broken heart, but it almost feels that way, and greed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because, he was in love with his work.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of would be like a broken heart.
And then you've got the oak leaves, which when I always see these oak leaves, I think of the poison oak. So it's like his fruit of his labor was the poison in the end.
Oh, yes.
And you could go down the route of he got killed by somebody because he was rich, but you don't. Don't see. You need another card.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you could say someone poisoned his fruit. They gave him it reminds me of Snow White. Here. And then it's an ace card, so aces are beginnings, they are divine cards, they are blessings, so someone might have given him a gift, or, they gave him something, and it was his demise.
Yep. Poor guy.
Well, he abandoned his family, so fuck him.
Well, yeah. Evil man.
Shame on him. Oh, my. So, fine. Page of Wands. So, okay, so what I'm getting here is he was almost not like a one-hit wonder, but his life was not very long. His pages are very young. So he didn't live a long life, and he walked on thin ice everywhere he went. And he took too many risks. He didn't care about the future. He kept wanting to go back into his what he considered his prime. He wanted to go back to when everyone was giving him the time of day, when he was, okay, maybe it was one hit wonder. So when everyone was paying attention to him and all this, and so I would say he probably, which is interesting because it's a Wands card. Wands is fire. But he probably froze to death. Like, he had nothing left. Like, all he had was his passion, his creation, his work. And at the end of the day, like, that didn't really pay the bills. So he was left out in the cold. And ew, it almost reminds me of that. I don't know if you ever read that story, The Little Match Girl, or watched that little video.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Super sad. Like, she died. So yeah, like, he was like, he had nothing after all this investment into himself and into his work. Like, he let go, and he froze. He froze to death. He had nothing left to give, and all that work, all that hard work, and all that temporary fame, it did nothing for him. It didn't continue to pay his bills because he wasn't focusing on what he really needs to focus on. Yes, be good at the work you do, but you also have to nourish relationships. And if you abandon your family for work, that means you're not really good at maintaining or developing relationships. And so that's also another lesson that can be learned from the past life to the current life. But yeah, that's kind of, he died young and froze to death like an icicle.
It also looks like the moon at the back is disappearing.
Oh, fading away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting.
His lights out.
Alex. So I have the Four of Swords, which to me ties in so well with everything else. It's like you said, he died with nothing. All he had was his work. And if you're talking about a blacksmith, he's even buried with his sword, as in that's all they had to bury him with, was the remnants of his work. You know, so yeah, that to me is interesting because, again, like, this person, and at least to me right now, seems like a very young person, just like the page.
Yeah, like the way that card is dressed it's almost like a young kid who plays dress up, who wants to be like older, but they end up looking younger because of how they are.
Right.
It reminds me of that. So I can totally see that.
Yeah.
It's interesting how he's leaning on the sword, on the blade of the sword.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he played with death.
Yes.
Because if he leans too far over, he's just going to kill himself. It's going to go straight through him.
Right.
So
And
was he
also,
afraid of death, or because it don't look like he was afraid of death?
mm-mm.
No, which is took too many risks. That's interesting, and that has a total witchy vibe. Like, just the blacksmith and the death part, which I will not get into here, but that is interesting. That's very interesting.
And to me, too, it's almost like not only was he not afraid to take risk, but, again, sort of confirmation that his work is what killed him. You know, it's almost like that sword will go right through him any second.
Yep, he put himself in that position.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so we know, like, pretty much died alone, and all he had was his work, which is, like, was great, but it wasn't going to do him any good in this life. So let's say someone, our client, needs to give our client advice from this, and if they're going to, like, build upon, you know, whatever's going on here, they need to take this as a life lesson and how to better their life now. Let's say they're struggling, not necessarily struggling artists, but they're struggling in their business. They're at their top of the game, kind of, but they're struggling with maintaining that and making sure they stay important. So this, to me, like, at least with what everyone said, and then the card that I pulled, I would have to be like, well, you need to start. Yes, your work's important. You need to make sure that that stays important, but you have to, like, nurture the relationships at work and in your personal life. You have to kind of take a step back from being so hardcore at work, in your work life, because even at work, like, if you go there and you just seem like all you do is work, and it's just like you don't want to talk, you don't want to associate, you don't want to do anything, but you're just working, people will take a look at that, and while they'll appreciate that, at the same time, they kind of have this negative association with that because they're like, well, this person isn't very personable. They don't socialize. They don't look like they're fun. So we can't really, they can only go so far. And they're not connecting with our clients. They're not going to be able to have this network, this relationship with our clients that we need to have. So that would be like a lesson I would express is like you need to focus on building relationships in the workplace and your personal life and doing it from the heart, doing it genuinely.
Right. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Poor
what.
guy. I'm sorry for him.
Poor guy. He died
Aw.
because he was a jackass.
Yeah.
But it happens. But yeah, that was interesting. So, and y'all, I should start reading off these questions. But that's kind of like super basic, but super easy. Like you just have to like program each card and lay it down and read it and have fun with it. But don't like freak out about it. Don't like get too crazy with it. Like it has to be this and it has to be this and you're gonna die tomorrow because the sword is like pinching your butt and you just fell through and blah blah blah. I don't know. But don't make shit up. Just like have fun with it. Be okay. And program the card. So when you program and you tell that card what it is going to represent, it will represent what you state. And don't veer off of that. Don't make sure that if this card represents the death of the past life, don't make this card about how they interacted in their life. How, do they have children? This card isn't about that. This card expresses only the death experience. So make sure to limit, in a sense, your focus on what the card means and don't veer off. Draw another card if you need to get more information.
Yeah, just take it one step at a time. Because if you start thinking about the whole picture, it just overwhelms you. It's like laying a bunch of cards out, then you've got to start piecing it all together. You don't have to make it that complicated. Just like Michael said, just do one step at a time. Start at the birth, then pick another part of their life when they left school, if they went to school. You don't necessarily have to just go from the beginning to the end.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, like, let's say, okay, and another cool thing is, let's say your client comes to you, they have a specific question, and you're getting like, okay, there's something happened in past life, but let's say their question was revolved around, like, finances, and you're like, I'm getting, like, this past, like, we're going to delve into your past life, and we're going to look at your finances in your past life. So you can fine-tune the reading to focus on like the finances. What was the career? How did it thrive? Did it not thrive? What lessons can be had of this? Ask questions and lay the cards out, and be open to receiving the information they have. And don't freak out. Like don't try to overanalyze it. Just pay attention to what comes up and express it.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so before I go into these questions that we have piling up over here, is there anything y'all want to express before we answer some questions?
I don't think so.
I'm good.
All right, so then we'll just like move on here. All right. Let's see. How can you differentiate when a person had a bad experience and stayed stuck in a past life regression and a person with a mental disability? I've heard of people in asylums and such talking as if they're reliving a past life. That's deep.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I always look at this life first, and I look at what could be mentally wrong with them in this life. Because sometimes, like for example, people with schizophrenia, some people say, well, maybe they're talking to spirit, but maybe they're not. You can't always go straight to spirit. You have to think about this life. And with that one, yeah, I agree. There may be some people that are living out their past life in these asylums or in these hospitals, like the state hospitals.
Net houses.
But I think it'd be extremely rare because you have to go into your past life stuff first to take a look into it, because not everybody's born that way.
No, and this is gonna probably sound really horrible. I would consider that very rare, a very rare experience, and or most likely drug induced, because there are quite a few, and this is kind of like, this is a very sketchy, like very hard to express, but there are a lot of experiences that are induced by hardcore drugs, and people don't come out of it, but at the same time, that's not necessarily linked to the past lives. It can be. It's also linked to their addiction problems, to different spirits, different energies, different choices they made here. So they chose to create this situation for themselves, and now they have to live with it. It's hard. It really is hard to express one way or the other. But I do think that's a rarity, and it's easy in a sense to differentiate, because once you start developing as a psychic, as a reader, as a witch, you start paying attention to different energies and how they feel to you. You can look at someone and look at their energy and see if they're here or if they're not here. You can see if there is a spirit riding someone, and sometimes, like, it's not always spirit, but it's actual trauma. It's actual, like, it looks like spirit, but it's a mass of energy that is a dis-ease or a mental illness. But again, we're not like professionals in the sense, we're not medical professionals, so we can't say you have a mental illness even though you're fucked in the head. But we can't tell people that, and it's not our place to. But we can recognize that about people you deal with on, in public. So you just have to learn to read the energy around someone. And when people are like, tweaked out and they're freaked out, I always tell people when you see tweakers, when you see people on drugs, pay attention to them. Look at their energy. Try not to get too close if you're just learning, but pay attention to what surrounds them, and you will feel it. Because no matter what, and if you work in public, you will have people who are on something, and you will deal with that, because they will come to the store, they will freak out, they will, they act a certain way, and you feel deep down, even mundanes feel something, because there are different energies in that person, in that addiction. There are different spirits, different things that ride that create that you feel and you connect with, and that's not normal. That's not how the person's supposed to be living. That's not how they should be. There's other stuff that they could be doing, and they have this about them that just has a hold over them, and you can feel it. And that's like the easiest way to express like how to differentiate, because most people, when they come in contact with someone who is high on meth or other hardcore things, like you feel it and you connect with it. You're like, that's not right. There's something wrong.
Plus, they're in a different state of consciousness.
Right.
So it's easier for spirit to use those vulnerable people. It's like when because I work with spirit a lot, when you're going into into a different state, like when you're going to sleep, for example, it's easier for spirit to communicate with you because you haven't got all this material stuff going on. So those people that are on these type of drugs, they're in a different. It's almost like they're in a different world, in a different, in a different state. So
Yes.
those spirits will take advantage. They will hop on.
Right.
But I don't
Well,
know whether it's necessarily past life.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
don't.
know, also, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say also, some mental illnesses can, like, I believe, push people into different states of being. Sometimes where they can fall into a past life regression, or it can affect them in certain ways to where they are, Rachel said, they are more susceptible to spirits taking over. They can be more susceptible to sort of fall back into a past life and as though it was real. Like,
Mhm.
but because of the mental illness, that is why they are the way. That is why things are happening to them. So it can be, to me, it's just one of those things. There's so many factors involved.
Yeah.
And
It's hard to say.
I think I don't know. I do believe, like, again, it was stated that it is a rare thing, but there are magically inclined people who fall into addiction, and then that is where it's scary and where it's even more dangerous, because if they're already utilizing, they're used to working with spirit, they're used to working with all these things, then you have add the addiction, you add the drug problem. um, that is a whole different show, which I will never have. But that is a whole different experience, and that is when I would say past life shit might come through. Um, yeah, but I really do think it is ready, because with past lives, most times you have to seek it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We might have different patterns that we go through, but if it's a past life thing, you really do have to seek it out, focus on it, be more aware of it, and then that becomes more of something that, okay, I am willing to work through this. It comes up more. You take it head on. You release it, or don't. Yeah, that was a good question though.
It
Mhm.
was.
Um, yeah, yeah. I don't even know. Like, I tell my mind is like, yeah, my mind is elsewhere now.
It's
But
just too big of a topic to. It's based on that person. It's
yeah,
each and every individual person. You can't say it is and you can't say it isn't, because it's just based on. You'd have to analyze them. You'd have to look into them.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Susie is expressing, like, she's funny. I'm like, and I've been reading your comments, Susie. I haven't been ignoring you. But she's expressing, like, from the cards that we drew, she's like, well, I think I accidentally deleted the other one. She's like, from those cards, I might say 1900s, working the ship's boiler room, away from family a lot, no time to invest in family bonds, which is absolutely, that totally, resonates with, what we were expressing as well. And then she says, now I'm amused. I'm thinking he dies during a cross-Atlantic travel, possibly a person seeking to spend their savings resettling, or immigrating. That sucks. It's kind of funny.
Probably from England.
It's
He's
like,
a
oh, he
pessimist from
dies.
England.
He dies trying to, like, resettle. That's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. It's kind of
I
funny.
know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. Um, what did we talk about? We got that. We got that. I'm trying to think of anything else, like, I wanted to say that expressed about past life, and I know we didn't, like, get into super, like, intense. This could be like a show that is, like, continued on and on. Different. It could be like different topics, because there's so much that you can express with past lives, and the more you look at different cards, the more you uncover different, like, past life experiences, different children, deaths, birds, all kinds of stuff, donkeys, cows,
I have a challenge for everyone.
Ooh, all right.
For the viewers to come up with a spread, your own spread, because there's no set spread for, well, for tarot in general. There are some that are the go-to ones, but I'd suggest coming up with your own past life spread, how you lay the cards out, what each spot means, and either make a video or post a picture, see what you get from it.
I like that.
Mhm.
And tag
Yeah.
Deviant Witchery. And tag Michael and Melissa.
And, and also tag the Spirit Witch because you gotta get involved. Hello.
I did one of my 100 things to do tonight. I
know.
hit one of my goals.
Yeah.
Goals. Hey, hi.
I know.
Chris Crocker, she's coming for you.
I am.
So, I guess, in closing, as we start to drift off, just remember, past lives are fun, but they are not meant to be held on to and to be made more important to the current experience. Next, what do y'all have to say? In closing, little words of encouragement or
Just
recap.
enjoy it. Just it's good. Try and find out who you were in a past life, but like Michael said, don't dwell on it. Because we all tend to want to know who we were and what we did and who we were married to, but it doesn't really matter. Now, you can go down another topic, but this is for another time, and that's like soul circles and the family who you've got around you now. Were they in your past life, and who were they? But that's another show.
That is a fun show. Oh, that gave me an idea. That is that is interesting. Yes. And Miss Melissa, Miss Dreadful Mystic.
No, I think y'all covered it mostly. Just don't take it super serious and prepare yourself. Make sure you want to know. Make sure you really want to go down that road and open that door, because you never know. It might not be the fun, oh, I was Cleopatra because everybody was fucking Cleopatra door.
Oh my god. You might have some demons in your closet that you don't want to let out.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my. So yeah. Well, and who was it? Lisa Williams. Psychic medium with the the one thing, because I used to watch, I think her show was on Lifetime, and I think I used to watch her all the time. But there was a question she asked her peeps all the time, which I really love, and I can't remember exactly how it was, but she was like, "Do you really want to know everything, or do you want to know everything?" And she asked that before she does her work. And the interesting thing I picked up with watching her and hearing her speak is she says she tells them everything no matter what, but if they say no, then she knows that she has to relay it softer. But if they want to hear everything, then she knows she can just be as blunt as she is and express it. So that's interesting, and I would definitely ask that, especially even ask yourself, do you want to know everything? Are you ready and willing to do the work that is necessary to understand and uncover your past lives? And know another thing as well is, if you're going through something right now, if you're going through a very hard time, when you start to uncover past lives, most likely that past life that you're going to uncover is going to have resonance with that hardship that you're going through. So know that it can intensify before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whew. Okay. But definitely do the challenge that Miss Rachel has expressed. That's going to be fun. You have to, y'all, do that damn challenge, because I want to work with your different spreads.
Me too. That's going to be fun. That was an excellent idea.
I know. So, okay, I think we're all about to say peace. I just want to say thank you to Miss International Psychic Medium,
Don't even.
the Spirit Witch, and Miss Melissa, the Dreadful Mystic. Always a pleasure. I had a lot of fun tonight, so thank you for bringing that up.
You're
Spirit Witch.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Okay, y'all. So have a good night. Peace.